So at this point, I want to go over the final paper that you'll be writing in the course. You've now had a chance to look over the instructions, which you can also see on your screen here. And I want to go over and talk a little bit about exactly what I'm expecting and how you ought to maybe approach the writing of this paper. The real goal of the paper, as I see it and conceive it, is for you to kind of take a step back now. When you write the paper, we will have talked about Marx, Weber, and Durkheim in their totality for this course. There's, of course, much more to say about each of them. But we will have said all we're going to say in the course about these three theorists. And so I want you to kind of take a step back from that and kind of take an overview of the whole course and look at each of these individual theorists, relate them to one another, and then kind of assess what you think about and kind of where you stand on each of these theorists. And so that's the real goal, to really reflect back on what we've done this whole semester and kind of take stock of that and see what it maybe can do for you. And so what you'll be doing is taking stock of each of these theorists, and I've broken it down into three basic components for the paper, where you will first summarize the kind of central arguments that each of these three theorists make, and this is meant to kind of get you to reflect back and refresh your memory about each of the theorists. Really, what I'm hoping that you'll do in the way that you'll actually be able to do this effectively is to go back to those concept maps that we've drawn out for each of the theorists. Go back into those concept maps and pull out the core arguments that they're trying to make. Use those concept maps as a way to then summarize what each of these theorists have to offer. And I want to point out here that what's an excellent version of doing this, right? An excellent version of this will be that you kind of highlight the strengths and the weaknesses of each of these theorists relative to the others, right? So this is a process of comparing the theorists to each other. It's very easy in this course, in any course like this, to take each of these theorists in isolation. But what I want you to begin to do is to compare those theorists to one another. And this will actually lead into the second component for the paper, which is to identify which of the theorists that we've talked about, which of those three, Marx, Weber, or Durkheim, that you find most compelling. Which sort of summarize or highlight the key features of modern life as you see it. Which are you most attracted to? And of course, why? Right? Why do you find their argument particularly appealing? So for this, I want you to isolate one of those three theorists. Right? Once you've summarized them all in the first part, you're going to then take one of the theorists that you find most compelling and articulate for me why it is that you find that theorist most compelling. And this will help lead into the third and final component of the paper, where you're going to then identify some social problem or issue and explain how your theorists can help you make sense of that problem. Here you want to kind of show the reader what the value is of your particular theorist. What do they help us explain in our own contemporary world? Right? So we've got a kind of starting part of the paper in the first part where we're just summarizing each of the arguments. We're bringing together the class, all of what we've talked about together into kind of brief summaries of the theorists, and then we're identifying which one you find most compelling, which of the theorists you think helps us understand something, and then you're going to really show us, you're going to apply their ideas, their concepts, their insights to make sense of a particular issue in our contemporary world. The issue you choose is completely up to you, right? There's a whole range of issues that you can think about here for doing this, and I will leave it at your discretion. Just the key thing is to make sure you can take your chosen theorist and apply their concepts and their ideas to that particular issue. You should see each of these components not in isolation, but building and linked together. So when you go to write your paper, I'm not asking you to answer 3 questions. I'm asking you to build up an entire coherent paper with those 3 components together in that. And you should write them in the particular order in which I've laid them out, because I think each builds upon the previous one. But make sure that you're making those links across the sections of the paper to make it a coherent argument that you're making, basically for why you have find value in one of the theorists that we've talked about for the course. There's a list of technical requirements you can see here. We're talking about a 6 to 8 page double-spaced paper, 1-inch margins, 12-point font, all of the kind of standard stuff. I don't expect you, I mean, you should feel free to do this if you wish, but I don't expect you to go outside of the course material and find additional sources or arguments. If this helps you, feel free to do it, and I wouldn't want to discourage you from doing that. It certainly can help. But don't feel like you have to go about doing that. Just do it if it helps you. If you do go outside, of course, of the readings, you'll need to make sure you cite the material in a consistent format. ASA style is always good, but whatever format you choose to cite in, make it consistently in that format. Okay, if you have any questions, please let me know. You will turn this final paper in on D2L, of course, where we have been turning in all of our other assignments as well. But if you have any questions, let me know. I'd be happy to talk both about the requirements of the paper, but also especially about the particular substantive issues that you're thinking about in the context of the paper. So let me know how I can be of help, and I will talk to you later.